where you will see your problems. Well, it doesn't have to be alcohol; it could be something else. You can have problems in
You can be angry off it.
angry.
You can be
angry.
But
so have you ever tried to just
the only time,
moderate that frequency?
honestly, dude, the only time I tune everything out is right before bed and just focus on myself. But you gotta realize that I notice that even when I'm not listening to the radio, if I'm just driving, if I'm just standing somewhere, if I'm just stocking produce, whatever, it doesn't matter. I notice that when I'm doing that, even if I am not focused on any external stimuli, there is external stimuli in my head that's providing the same impulses. Like, if you just let your mind go and you don't focus on anything, your mind will create a whole world of stimuli from the external factors that you've observed in the past. It doesn't matter if the external factors are actually there. If you don't focus on anything in your mind will use the memories of the past external factors to basically create another world where you have the same impulses anyway.
Right. So going back to the sandbox, you'll sift through more gold and dirt. Is what will happen.
Yes, but the thing is, in order to really isolate yourself from outside factors, it can't just be isolating your senses. It has to be isolating from the memory of what you sensed, the memories of what you sensed. If you don't isolate yourself from and focus on one thing, or maybe two things or three things, your mind will focus on the memories of all the things you're tuning out, and they'll still exist. They'll still affect you. And this is what I found again and again, is that, and I've been aware of this, is that if I don't focus on something, if I don't focus on either raising the energy in my spine, if I don't focus on some idea of a form of God or light, or if I don't focus on a mantra, if I don't focus on an idea I'm trying to understand in a book, then my mind will create a whole nother world of the same bullshit stimuli that is outside of my senses, that is outside of my body.
Right.
So you have to not just tune things out, but you have to focus on something else.
So I was trying to explain. You believe in demons, right?
Yes, but
Okay.
my beliefs on demons would probably be a lot different.
You don't think they affect us in real?
No, I do. I don't think that I don't think that if I dig far enough in a hole that I'll find a demon underneath the earth. I don't think that there's demons in the.
No, they'll just walk right up to you. I mean, believe it or not.
Well, I mean, I don't think that they have the same physical form that we like to think that they do. I think that they're negative energies that inhabit physical forms that kind of possess things. Kind of like they might. This negative energy that somebody embraces, because demons don't have the same kind of. They don't have the soul, the life force that makes them alive. They don't have the same connection to soul that.
They're supernatural, and they can affect your whatever your thought process that you're having. They can change.
But they're a form of energy. They're more energy than they are a life form.
Right.
They're not a life form. They're a form of energy.
They live outside of time, just like God does.
No, they don't live outside of time. They're totally based.
They're not confined to time.
They totally are, because then this is the reason why. They are totally based on satisfying a desire they have that moment. That is what a demon is. They are the energy that seeks self-satisfaction for whatever desire they have at that second. And that's what negative energy is. That is basically a summary of negative energy, is that it's satisfying a material desire one has at that second.
Right.
That creates negative energy. That can literally coagulate into greater forms of negative energy from multiple people. But it has to be, for multiple people, can create this sphere of negative energy that can influence other things. And it's kind of electromagnetic. There have been recordings that scientists have done of different electromagnetic frequencies around large groups of people praying, and they're especially high. These electromagnetic frequencies are incredibly low. Now, we don't have the tools to measure everything that demons are right now, but in the future we'll be able to realize what all the things that compose these energies. But demons are that force that they can only exist in people if people choose to embrace them. Mm-hmm. That this negative force has to be something you're a part of. You have to be feeding it through your desire to be a part of it in order for it to exist. And really, the simple truth is that most of the superstitions people have about demons isn't true. It's the fear of demons that fuels them just as much as the anger, the hate, and then all these things are a part of material desire, satisfying material desire, the urge to satisfy material desire in that second. All these different terrible emotions, these terrible feelings, are all part of material desire in that second. And the fear of these things influencing you actually feeds them as well. So, like, that's why I try to get past the superstition, and I think, look, I have my protections. I don't need to be afraid of these things. And ever since I stopped fearing them, the funny thing is I've been hallucinating a lot less. And even when I had my medication, you know, I still be afraid and hallucinate things out of the corner of my eye. But ever since I stopped fearing these things, and like, if I hear a noise in a dark room, I fucking walk in that dark room, don't turn on the light, and I fucking look around. And it doesn't matter if it's even my house. If I see if I feel like there's something in this certain area, I will walk over there and I will look around and be like, "You're not gonna affect me." I'll just look around. I won't say anything, and I'll just look around with willpower, and then basically that fear is just gone. So after all the times doing that, those same fears don't affect me. Thus, I don't feed any of the negative forces that I might ever come up against. But, I mean, not ever, but there's some very powerful energy forces that are demons out there. But most of them are very small ones that feed on your fear and your hatred and all the negative things that you desire to satisfy material desire in a second. But yeah, was there another topic that was connected to that?
I don't know what we were talking originally about.
We completely forgot.
We were talking
I don't know how the hell we got all the way to.
We were talking about religion, how religion overlaps with other religions.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's kind of the topic we have a lot of the time.
I know what it started. It started basically about whether sin is confined to be an infinite or finite thing, which it's not a thing. It's not a person, place, or thing. It's an action.
An action. So it involves person, places, and things, but it's not in and of itself person, place, and things. So it's kind of ephemeral. It's kind of uncorporeal.
So the whole thing is basically, are we offending God, and how do we know we're offending God since He's not here? And does God?
Yeah, well, that's a very. I don't want to be mean, but that's a very basic understanding of it. I mean, we can, if you want to look at it from that view, there's rule books that are texts in religions everywhere where it says this is what offends God. I mean, we just read those, but really, what begins all the sin and what the rules on sin exist to quell is these things that we do within ourselves that causes us to do all these sins. Yeah. All of these different sins are like a different string that forms this really huge cord that leads back to one thing. It's like God's creating a huge arrow made out of cord that are composed of all these different rules about sin, pointing to one thing, and that's destroying or not being a part of material satisfaction. Now, material satisfaction, you say, okay, what? You're not supposed to hate your neighbor. But there's a reason people hate their neighbors, and it's always either a desire for material or based on material. It's always founded in material. It's never founded in soul, because there is no reason to hate another person that is completely that is a reason based in soul, based in true life force. There's no reason to hurt another person, to drink a whole lot, to sleep with a bunch of people and not care about them. There's no reason to do that that has a basis in soul. It's always material desire. All these different rules about sin are all pointing to this one thing, that we have to completely embrace soul and stop discriminating in the way that makes us believe that we can commit certain actions and still be okay in our soul and still be going towards our soul. We have to realize that there are actions that lead us away from our soul, that lead us towards material desire and increasing sin as a result. And then there are actions that lead us straight to God, straight to the source, where we eventually become a part of that. When all the dirt is rubbed away from that flake of gold, it's the same shine, it's the same sheen, it's the same color as the infinite ocean of gold that is God. And without all the weight of all those impure actions, of all those impure ideas, of all those impure impulses, without all that weight, all that dirt on it, that flake of gold that is our soul, it naturally floats away into the infinite ocean of gold that is God. And that's not something that I've said before or read before, but it's a very good analogy. And when we are not weighted down by all this dirt that naturally coagulates in this reality, we float back to the ocean of gold. And because the winds of time and space actually work in our favor when we're that light, and we float away in those winds and go back to the ocean of gold. In my opinion. But I mean, I've always viewed individual souls as like flakes of gold ever since Paramahansa Yogananda talked about that. And the infinite ocean of gold is kind of like my addition. He called it the ingot of gold, but the infinite ocean of gold kind of makes more sense to me. But yeah, it's all about that shining, man. It's all about the shining, and the flake of gold can. When we do spiritual things, when we do virtuous things, when we become a virtuous person, we naturally vibrate at a higher frequency. I've seen it in people that are very spiritual, like that Benedictine monk I saw recently, and other Buddhist monks I've seen in the past, and Hindu priests. They naturally have a vibration about them that it kind of emits light that you can't really see, but you feel like they're a little bit lighter than everybody else for some reason. It's a feeling, not necessarily something that you can record or perceive. And you can always see that in them, because when a flake of gold, to make it really simple in the analogy, when a flake of gold vibrates quicker and quicker, the dirt naturally falls off. But it's the same with humans. When they vibrate, the weight of what they've done in the past and these negative energies they've created that surround them, that weigh them down, when those are slowly vibrated off as we become more and more spiritual, then eventually you're not weighted down at all. And then that's just a good way to understand it. But then I'm going to go ahead and end the video there for today. Thanks everybody for listening.